Something that has hundreds of you talking right now on our KARE 11 Facebook page is how two countries are essentially telling their residents, don't go to America, it's not safe. Let me explain in this morning's Digital Dive. Now, when we think of travel advisories, we typically think of some of the more recent countries making headlines for various crimes there, like certain regions of Mexico and even a few spots around the UK. And after the recent mass shootings in Texas and Ohio, killing 31 people, two Latin American governments are now advising their residents not to travel to certain spots in the U.S. Now, one of those countries is Uruguay. Their foreign ministry issued a statement telling their citizens to, quote, take precautions against growing indiscriminate violence in America. They also warn people to not travel to the cities of Detroit, Baltimore, and Albuquerque, claiming they're some of the most dangerous cities in the world. And the country of Venezuela also warning their residents to cancel their travel plans to the U.S. or, if they're still going, to be extra cautious, essentially saying the growing acts of violence, of racial discrimination and hatred against migrant populations is coming from the, quote, supremacist elite who hold political power in Washington. And of course, as I mentioned, hundreds of you talking about this right now on our Facebook page. Melinda says, joke all you want and don't believe what is happening. We're a very violent country for being first world and having many things at our fingertips. And we did get another comment that had a lot of you going back and forth, was from Chris Bradford. He asked the questions, can we ask some more countries to do the same? Now, according to other reports, France, New Zealand, and Germany have actually all issued warnings for the U.S. for mass shootings in the past. So this is not a new thing, but it's definitely an alarming thing to happen.
It's always good to know how other countries view you as well, because sometimes you just take a view of yourself. So when you hear other countries doing this, it kind of makes you think, well, you know, hey, what's going on here, right?